Hello and welcome to another edition of the Brooklyn Baby Podcast with me, your host, Charlene Sabb. Well, I hope everyone had a great week and an even greater weekend. And what did you do this weekend? What did you do? Well, I know here in North Kakalaki, it's been stormy. But you know what? With the stormy weather, it's funny how pretty much since May, there's a weather pattern in which even though there might be strong storms or thunderous storms and this, that, and the third, so far no hurricanes. That's great. At least not here. I don't think anywhere really substantial. Just like a tropical little something. But it was great for the grass. So everyone's grass is looking beautiful and green and nice and beautiful and vibrant. Well, today's episode is about hobbies. Hobbies. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Where do you like to go? Everyone who knows me knows I am a foodie. So what are hobbies? And this is really geared to the adults, but some hobbies can go across different age demographics and brackets and everything like that. So let's get into it. Well, I'm a writer, and I make it very clear. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm working on not one, but two additional books. And my first book is called, If He Doesn't Come a Calling, Practical Tips for Dating. Go get your copy. Available Amazon, available Barnes & Noble, Author House. Get your copy. Hard copy, soft copy. We even have the ebook version as well. Yeah, that's my own little plug. I'm plugging myself. So with that being said, I love to write, and I'm working on Brooklyn Baby, which is my first adult contemporary fictional novel. And I'm also working on Quotable Quotes 365, some motivational quotes for every day of the year. So be on the lookout. So that's one of my hobbies. And also, I love clothing, and I love hair, makeup, all that stuff. And I'm also launching a subsidiary of the Brooklyn Baby name, which is called Brooklyn Baby Skincare and Hair Care, coming out any day, any week now. So just, again, another shameless plug for what I'm trying to do. So those are my hobbies. Yes. Writing. And I know a lot of us like to write and cultivate that, whether it's poetry, nonfiction, fiction, so many different types of genre of writing. And also, like I mentioned, some of my hobbies, I just like looking at fashion. Now, I like fashion, but I'm not a slave to fashion, if that makes sense. I like looking nice and cute, but I don't always have to have everything designer this, designer that. Some stuff might be, some stuff might not be. But I'll tell you one thing certain, two things for sure. I like to look nice, but I'm not going to break my wallet. I don't care how much money I have or don't have. I'm not going to break my wallet. Never have, never will. That's not the way I was raised. You can look nice, but look nice on a budget. You can get brands, but I'm not a slave to brands. I'm not a slave to fashion. I'm just not. So hobbies, so far I mentioned writing, fashion. In addition to that, hair, makeup, skincare, launching books, be on the lookout, and launching some skin and hair care stuff. And I know a lot of you, look at your local parks and rec. They often have a lot of very inexpensive classes, workshops in which people can cultivate the love of writing. Look at what's going on in your local neighborhood, your community. The library, plenty of different workshops and classes, even universities. You're going to take some adult education courses, that, just to cultivate any kind of interest that you may have. Some of us like to do painting. My girl group and I have in the past done sip and paint. It's also a date idea, sip and paint. Those of you who love to paint, I know my dad loves to paint. I mean, he has a lot of his own artwork in his home, and some replica. One in particular he did of, it was a famous Gauguin painting. I think it's called Ladies on the Beach. It has like some Polynesian women on the beach, and his replica that he did when he was in college looks just like the original. I tell you no lie. Just like the original. When people would visit in the past in Brooklyn and even now, we held up the original, you know, on the phone or computer, whatever, and you juxtapose it next to what he created, people are like blown away that he did that while he was in college. But my point is, some sip and paints, great date idea. You can bring your own snacks, your own food, whatever you want to bring to eat. And they let you not only sip and paint, but you can sip, paint, and eat. Great. And I know when I went with my girl group years ago, it was so cute. It was like a couple. They were a little older than us. So we were like, mid to late 40s. This couple was like well into their 50s. And they, at the time, this is about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, maybe 8. And they were on their first date. And we thought it was the cutest thing. So it's a great date idea as well. Great date idea. There's a lot of board games, a lot of local clubs and establishments. I know in my city and other cities, they have like literally bingo game days and game nights, and for prizes most of the time, some type of prize, chess tournament, bingo, different board games, different tables set up just for such things, and that's really cool. There are also different gardening activities in local areas. So just, look at your local newspaper, look at your local Parks and Rec, or just do a straight up Google search for the activity that interests you in your area. Another thing, I am a foodie. There are a lot of Epicurean societies. I know one of my mom and dad's neighbor, and someone I know personally. Unfortunately, this man passed away, but they were part of the same Epicurean society. Now, I'm going to be quite candid. I would love to join Epicurean society, go to different restaurants, try them out. But baby, the struggle to try to not be too big weight-wise is a struggle. So with that being said, I said, no, if I'm trying to like not put on weight, but maintain or even lose weight, I said, the last thing I need is to be part of an Epicurean society. So I would love to, but I said, no, because I'm a foodie, but I'm a foodie with guardrails and different parameters and limitations. I don't need to be going out eating all the time, because I'll be out of control and I'll be looking like Fat Albert. Hey. So I said, I don't need that. But to those who have self-control or don't care, or whatever the case may be, different Epicurean societies in your neighborhood and your locale will be a good way to interact with other people, to experiment with different restaurants, to see what's out there, mix, mingle. Even if you're single, I'm sure that'd be a great place to try to meet people, whether it's in the group or while you're going to different restaurants, navigating around to meet people at these establishments. Which leads me to my next. There are a lot of different places where my girls and I were having dinner at a certain location in North Raleigh, North Carolina, and we looked at inside the window, the glass, and we saw another couple doing a cooking class. So we were like, wow. And when we looked up that particular business, if you look at their calendar, they have different cooking classes for different days of the week. And you would have to register, pay your fee, and whatever they have on the menu for that day is what you're going to learn to cook. And I thought it was so cool. They had their glass of wine. They were cooking some type of dish. Can't remember what it was, and they were just looking so happy. And that's something, as I'm thinking about it, we said we were going to partake in, and I never did, but it's never too late. I thought it was the coolest thing. And with that being said, there are also places and different classes and different businesses that allow you to sign up to learn how to bake different culinary treats. And I'm sure the place I'm talking about, probably offers some kind of days in which you could also learn how to not only cook foods on top of the stove, but actually bake in the oven as well. And I think they offered both. So that's really cool. And it's a good date idea, whether you're married, in a relationship, single, dating, whatever. It's just like a nice idea. I know a lot of people are into gardening, you know. That's not my thing. I don't have a green thumb, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I know I went to help my dad pick out some stuff to plant last year in his garden, and it's not my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people do find it fun, relaxing. Someone I know, my friend who is also the person who does my nails, she mentions that, you know, she likes to go, whether it's Home Depot, whether it's Lowe's, she likes to do her gardening, and she finds it very therapeutic for her, and she loves to do that, and it just where she finds her peace. And a lot of people find their peace. And I have another friend who actually has a greenhouse, former colleague, coworker, and friend, and she actually told me at her home, her compound, she actually has a greenhouse. So, you know, it's where these people find their peace. It's not hurting anybody, and it sounds pretty cool. But, you know, that's their thing. Some other things that people, music. People want to take up how to learn an instrument, or maybe reteach a certain instrument. I know I regret not keeping up with the flute. And it was something I played. My parents assigned me up for the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music. And it was the coolest thing. I was at a private school around the corner, and the instructor would come and pick me up from the private school, I guess when other kids were doing other extracurriculars, and he would walk me around the corner with him to the conservatory. I would take my music class, and he would walk me back, then pick up the next student. They would have their little 30-minute session like I did, and that was the coolest thing. So my parents signed me up for this, and it was done in conjunction with the private school I attended. I was in elementary school at the time. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And you don't even have to sign up for a big conservatory to learn music. Some people can go to a Sam Ash. I don't even think they have those anymore, but a local distributor of instruments and sheet music, and teach themselves. YouTube, you can learn anything these days. And there are local agencies that will teach you various instruments for low fees. And I believe my local Parks and Rec does offer some type of music classes for different instruments, and the prices are always low and affordable. Some other things as far as hobbies, you know, I've always been an avid walker, and every now and then would join my dad for a jog. I mentioned that in past podcasts. And yes, I do have to, my weight goes up and down. I'm on the upper spectrum now. I'm trying to get it back down. The struggle is real, especially at this age that I'm in. And when you hit certain walls and you get certain age and certain things take over, like menopause, other things, your metabolism slows down, weight can pick up. So the struggle is real. So with that being said, this leads me to another activity that a lot of people like to use for hobbies, just simply exercising. There are a lot of exercise groups, fitness classes. A lot of people like to take hikes. A lot of people like to exercise in groups, aerobics classes, yoga, regular yoga, hot yoga, whatever your fancy is, whatever makes you happy. You know, and then there's also, just go to another hobby. People like, I mentioned the board games, but people actually do a lot of gaming. When I'm talking about gaming, aside from the board games and the chess and the checkers and the bingo, but like video gaming. is a hobby, and people can. There are places to go to play with other people, and then some people in the privacy of their own homes. If you have an Xbox or PlayStation or whatever you have, you could play with friends or people around the world. And that's really cool. And I know my son at his house, he has, what does he have now? It's I know he used to have the Xbox, and now he got the new PlayStation. And when I visit him, or sometimes when I'm talking to him on the phone, he's getting set up to with his headphone, getting ready to play a game with someone. Sometimes it's a friend or a group of friends that he knows, or sometimes it might be a stranger anywhere in the world. Some other things: learning different languages. Learning different languages. Again, most of these things, a lot of these things I'm saying, you could look up at your local parks and rec or universities, and you can sign up for these classes. You can sign up for these classes, pay a low fee, a reasonable fee. And I can't speak for everywhere, but I know here in North Carolina, things are very cheap, very inexpensive. I shouldn't say cheap, but that gives it a negative connotation. Very inexpensive. So find out what your pleasure is. Maybe you want to pick up on a foreign language, take up a foreign language. Maybe you want to freshen up. I know I would love to freshen up on both my French and my Spanish. Okay. In addition to that, this kind of goes along the lines with exercise, but sports. There are a lot of team and individual sports that people can play. Again, you could look at your local parks and rec, YMCA, your gym. It could be a local, a individual or team sport that you can participate in. So much. In addition to that, swimming. Again, you can look up what's available in your local area. And dancing. I know when we went to Vegas for my friend and her now husband's wonderful party on New Year's Eve, on the famous ride, what is that famous? It's an overgrown Ferris wheel. It's called the big roller, I believe it's called the big roller, or the high roller. Is that huge Ferris wheel in Vegas. And I know we went on there first, and then we went there, and then we ended up having the party bus. I'm sorry, it's the high roller. Then we had the party bus. They had the party bus take us to Old Vegas, and we went and brung in the new year at something called the Fremont Experience, that has like a huge zip line going across it. So part of it is enclosed and part of it is not, of this Fremont. And they have all these shops, everything, and the zip line going above your head. We didn't partake in the zip line, but my point is, before the wedding and before the ringing of the new year, the day before, the sister of the bride, who's also my friend, she gave us all tickets to take pole dancing classes. So yes, whether it's pole dancing classes you want to take, or some type of line dance, or learn how to do the salsa, merengue, the hustle, the Dougie, whatever the case, Cupid's shuffle, whatever the case may be, there are various types of dancing that you may want to learn to do, and it's also economically feasible, very frugal. Get your exercise going, get your blood pumping, and you learn a new dance. All right, so these are just some ideas that, and I have one other thing to say as well. Some people like collecting stamps, coins. Some people are into making pottery. All right, so you can have places where you actually make your pottery, and then you might have to come back another day to paint the pottery, or do whatever you need to do, because I know there's certain steps. You shape it, and then after it's taken care of, then you come back and paint it, and then come back once that's taken care of, and you get your final product. And then there's some places where the pottery's already pre-made, and you just come and paint it. They do the process to get everything finalized. You come back and pick it up. So some people are into pottery, whether you're making it from scratch or the pottery's already pre-made and you are literally making it and designing it, painting it to your specifications. So much to do, so much to do. And a lot of people have a hobby of even not just playing sports, but watching sports, and have a lot of group activities to maybe look at local high school, college, or even professional teams play. Get on that party bus, or y'all have a caravan, or take a actual bus, or drive yourselves and meet up and just participate in watching and viewing and enjoying yourself at a local, or even doesn't have to even be local. It could be a local game or team, or it could be somewhere outside of your area if that's your passion and that's your liking. So the bottom line is, people, life is short. You find what makes you happy, as long as you're not breaking any rules, breaking any laws, robbing, stealing, and it's fun, easy, clean, fun. Why not? You're not breaking any laws. You're not stealing from anyone. Just enjoy yourself. So just tap into what you like to do and just go out and do it. Just go out and do it. YOLO. All right. Well, that's all for now. I thank you for listening to this edition of the Brooklyn Baby Podcast. Make sure you share this podcast. Make sure you hit the like button and get the word out. Please help a sister out. And soon, I know I've been saying it for the longest time, but soon we're going to have actual live or live taped episodes of this show, because a sister's just trying to get everything going and launching and get the ship to sail. And I thank you for being here with me. In my Jay-Z voice, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. And I truly appreciate your support. All right, until next time, continue to be wonderful, be positive, be happy, and always be blessed. All right, bye-bye.